The blizzard erased the road behind them in less than a minute, swallowing tire tracks, fence posts, even the memory of direction. Snow hammered sideways, hard enough to sting through wool and leather. Officer Caleb Ward tightened his grip on the leash as his K9, Rook, slowed, then stopped entirely. That was when Caleb heard it. Not wind. Not the groan of frozen trees. A hollow, rhythmic sound. 3 dull knocks. Coming from somewhere beneath the snow. The radio crackled and died for the third time in 10 minutes. Caleb stared at it, thumb pressed hard against the push-to-talk, as if pressure alone could force signal out of dead air. Static hissed back at him, thin, useless, swallowed by the storm. "Dispatch," he said anyway. "Unit 12. I'm near mile marker 17 on Old Quarry Road. Visibility 0. The rest vanished into white noise. He exhaled slowly, fog blooming inside the collar of his parka. Old Quarry Road had been a mistake. He knew that now. It was a narrow county cut that hadn't seen a plow in years, a shortcut only locals remembered, and only in summer. But the call had come in just before the storm fully closed its fist. Possible stranded vehicle, last ping somewhere north of Briar Creek. Small-town calls didn't come often in storms like this. When they did, you answered. Rook stood rigid at the end of the leash, black and tan coat already caked with ice. His ears were forward, nose low, breath steaming in short, controlled bursts. Not fear. Focus. "What is it, boy?" Caleb murmured. Rook didn't look back. The wind screamed across the open fields, lifting snow into sheets that moved like living things. The world had shrunk to a narrow cone of headlight glow and whatever Rook could smell beneath the ice. Caleb followed. They moved off the road, boots breaking through crusted snow into drifts that reached mid-thigh. Each step burned. The cold found seams in his clothing, crept in around his wrists, his jaw, the old scar along his ribs that never quite stopped aching in winter. Rook slowed again. Then stopped. The sound came back. 3 knocks. Closer now. Caleb froze. Training kicked in, flattening his breathing, slowing his pulse. He killed the engine of the cruiser with a thumb tap on the fob. Silence rushed in, vast and heavy. Knock. 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 It wasn't loud. It wasn't desperate. It was controlled. "Hello," Caleb called, hating how small his voice sounded against the storm. "Police. If you can hear me, call out." Nothing. Rook's tail was stiff, just slightly elevated, a signal Caleb had learned to trust. Alert. Not aggressive. Curious. They moved forward together. The knocking stopped. For a long moment, there was only the wind and the distant groan of ice shifting somewhere deep underground. Then Rook pawed at the snow. Hard. Caleb dropped to one knee, gloves scraping against ice as he brushed away loose powder. Something dark emerged beneath, metal, curved, slick with frost. A handle. His stomach tightened. It took another minute of digging to reveal the shape, a car trunk lid, half buried, the rest of the vehicle nowhere in sight. No hood. No doors. Just the rear end, like the exposed rib of some frozen animal. The knocks came again. From inside. Caleb jerked back, heart slamming so hard he felt it in his throat. Jesus Christ. He pressed his ear closer, ignoring the cold biting through his hood. Muffled. Hollow. Definitely human. "Police officer here," he shouted, pounding once on the lid. "If you can hear me, keep knocking." 3 knocks answered immediately. Rook let out a low whine, pawing at the snow again, frantic now. Caleb's mind raced through protocol, backup, medics, fire rescue, but the radio was dead and the storm was closing fast. Already, snow was creeping back into the hole he'd cleared, trying to reclaim the metal. He tried the handle. Locked. "Okay," he said, more to himself than to whoever was inside. "Okay. Hang on." He stood, scanning the whiteout. No structures. No trees close enough to shelter a vehicle. Whoever had ended up here hadn't simply slid off the road. They'd been put here. Caleb returned to the cruiser, fingers clumsy as he yanked open the trunk and grabbed the tire iron. He ran back, chest burning, lungs screaming at the cold. The first strike rang out sharp and useless. The metal was thicker than he expected. Inside, the knocking paused. then resumed, faster now. "Stop!" Caleb shouted instinctively, panic spiking. "Stop knocking! Save your strength!" The knocking slowed. He repositioned, swung again, harder. Sparks jumped as steel met steel. The lock dented but didn't give. Rook barked once, sharp and urgent, circling the trunk. "Easy, boy," Caleb said, though his own hands were shaking. He adjusted his grip, raised the tire iron. A voice came from inside. Hoarse. Ragged. "Please. Just one word." Caleb's vision blurred. "I've got you," he said. "I swear. I've got you." He swung again. The lock split with a sound like a gunshot. The lid sprang up a few inches, then stopped, frozen hinges fighting back. Caleb jammed his fingers into the gap, ignoring the pain as metal bit skin, and forced it open. The smell hit him first. Stale air. Rust. Something sour and human. A woman lay curled inside, knees to chest, wrists bound with duct tape gone gray from condensation. Her lips were blue, eyes sunken, hair plastered to her face with sweat that had frozen and thawed and frozen again. She blinked up at him. "You're real," she whispered. Caleb swallowed hard. "Yeah, I'm real." He fumbled with the tape, hands clumsy, terrified of hurting her. Rook stood guard at his side, silent now, watchful. "How long?" Caleb asked softly. The woman laughed, a thin, broken sound. "I stopped counting." He wrapped his coat around her shoulders as best he could, lifting her with care. She weighed almost nothing. As he carried her toward the cruiser, the storm seemed to surge, wind rising like it was angry at being cheated. Halfway there, she gripped his sleeve. "Officer," she said. "Yes." "Don't trust." Her eyes rolled back. She went limp in his arms. The heater in the cruiser roared like an injured animal, blasting air that smelled faintly of antifreeze and old coffee. Caleb cranked it anyway, one gloved hand on the wheel, the other hovering near the woman's chest, counting shallow rises beneath the borrowed blanket. She was alive. Barely. Rook lay on the back-seat floor, eyes fixed on her, muscles tight as coiled wire. He hadn't taken them off her once. "Stay with me," Caleb murmured, easing the cruiser into a slow, careful turn. The storm pressed in from all sides, headlights carving a useless tunnel through white nothing. Hospitals not far. "We're almost there." It was a lie. Briar Creek Clinic was 20 minutes away on clear roads. In this, it might as well have been on the moon. The radio crackled suddenly. Caleb nearly swerved. "NIT 12, do you copy?" Relief hit him so hard his hands shook. "Dispatch." "Yes." "I copy. I've got a survivor, female, severe hypothermia, restrained in a trunk off Old Quarry Road. I need medical and backup now." A pause. Too long. Then, "Repeat location." Caleb rattled it off, heart sinking as the signal wavered. He caught fragments, ambulance en route, state troopers delayed, weather advisory escalating, before the line went dead again. The woman stirred, a faint sound catching in her throat. "Hey," Caleb said gently. "You're safe. Can you tell me your name?" Her eyelids fluttered. "Mara. Mara. I'm Caleb. This is Rook." He nodded toward the dog. "He found you." Her lips curved, just barely. "Good dog." Rook's tail thumped once against the seat. Caleb tried again. "Do you know who did this to you, Mara?" Her eyes slid away, unfocused. "Thought I did." "That's okay. We can talk later." "No," she whispered. "You need to know." She coughed, a wet, tearing sound that made Caleb wince. He's already looking for me." The road disappeared. Not gradually. Not politely. 1 second there was a suggestion of asphalt beneath the snow. The next the cruiser lurched as the front tires hit something soft and gave way. Caleb swore, jerking the wheel, but momentum carried them forward and down. The engine stalled. Silence rushed in, broken only by the wind and the faint, uneven sound of Mara's breathing. Caleb tried the ignition. Nothing. Battery light flickered, then died. "Okay," he said aloud, forcing calm into his voice. "Okay." He grabbed the radio again. "Dead." Snow was already piling against the hood, filling the world inch by inch. The heater sputtered, coughed, went cold. Rook lifted his head, ears pricked. "What is it?" Caleb asked. Rook growled, low, warning. Headlights appeared through the storm. Not the steady amber of an ambulance. White. High beams. Coming fast. Caleb's hand went to his sidearm. The vehicle slowed as it approached, tires crunching on ice, then stopped at an angle that blocked the cruiser's driver's side door. A truck. Older model. Dark paint lost beneath road salt and snow. The driver's door opened. "Officer Ward," a voice called. Familiar. Too familiar. Caleb's jaw tightened. "Sheriff Klein," he said. Sheriff Harold Klein stood in the blowing snow, hat pulled low, coat immaculate despite the weather. He was in his late 50s, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who filled a room by existing in it. He'd been sheriff of Briar County for as long as Caleb had worn a badge. "What happened?" Klein asked, peering into the cruiser. His eyes flicked to Mara, then to Rook. "Looks like you found something." "Vehicle stalled," Caleb said. "I was transporting a hypothermia victim. She was locked in a trunk." Klein's brows rose. "A trunk?" "Yes. That's something." Klein leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You sure about this, Caleb?" Caleb met his gaze. "I pulled her out myself." Klein nodded slowly. "Mind if I take a look?" Before Caleb could answer, Mara stirred. Her eyes snapped open, sharp with sudden fear. She grabbed Caleb's sleeve, nails digging through fabric. "It's him," she whispered. Caleb's pulse spiked. "Who?" "The man I told you about," she said, staring past him at the shadow beyond the windshield. "He's here." Rook barked, loud and furious, throwing himself against the door. Klein took a step back. "Easy," he said. "Dog's worked up." Caleb opened the door, snow blasting in, gun still holstered but his hand close. "Sheriff, she's terrified. I need medical." "No." Klein's expression softened, just a touch. "Of course. Ambulances having trouble getting through. Roads are a mess. Best thing is to get her somewhere warm. I'm not moving her without a medic." Klein's eyes hardened. "Caleb, that wasn't a suggestion." The storm howled between them, filling the space where words might have gone. For a moment, Caleb saw it clearly, the imbalance. Klein's authority. The isolation. The fact that no one else could hear them. "What aren't you telling me?" Caleb asked quietly. Klein sighed, breath fogging. "You always had a knack for complicating things." Mara whimpered. Caleb turned back to her. "Mara, can you tell me what's going on?" She shook her head weakly. "If I do, he won't let me leave." Klein's hand moved, just slightly, toward his own coat. Rook snarled. Caleb drew his weapon. "Step back," he said, voice steady. "No." Klein froze. Snow gathered on his shoulders, melting and refreezing. "This is a mistake," Klein said. "You don't understand what you're holding." "I understand I found a woman in a trunk," Caleb replied. "And she's afraid of you." Silence stretched, taut as wire. Then Klein smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "All right," he said. "We'll do this your way. For now." He stepped back, hands visible. "I'll call this in from my truck. See if I can get fire rescue out here." Caleb didn't lower his gun until Klein was back in his vehicle. The truck pulled away slowly, disappearing into the white. Caleb exhaled, lungs burning. "Did I do the right thing?" he asked softly. Mara squeezed his arm. "I think you just made it worse." They waited. Minutes passed. Then more. No sirens. No radio chatter. Just the storm. Mara's breathing grew shallow again. Her skin was warming, but her pulse fluttered like it might take flight. Caleb made a decision he knew he'd answer for later. He restarted the cruiser. The engine coughed, then turned over. "Hold on," he told Mara. He eased the cruiser forward, bypassing the road entirely, aiming for the low lights of Briar Creek that glimmered faintly through the snow like distant stars. Behind them, unseen, another set of headlights followed at a careful distance. The lights of Briar Creek looked unreal through the storm, blurred halos floating in white nothing, as if the town itself were an illusion Caleb had invented to keep moving. His hands ached from gripping the wheel. Every few seconds, he checked the rear-view mirror. Headlights. Still there. Far enough back to deny intention. Close enough to promise it. "Stay with me, Mara," Caleb said, voice low. "We're almost there." Her eyes were half-lidded now, unfocused. The warmth had pulled her out of shock just enough for pain to find her. She hissed softly with each breath. "He didn't start like this," she murmured. Caleb leaned closer. "Who?" "Harold Klein." She swallowed. "He used to be kind." The words landed heavier than any accusation. Briar Creek emerged at last. 3 streets, a diner, a shuttered hardware store, the clinic dark except for one emergency light flickering like a tired pulse. Caleb pulled up hard, skidding sideways, horn blaring into the storm. No response. "Of course," he muttered. He killed the engine, unbuckled, and opened Mara's door. The cold rushed in like punishment. Rook leapt down immediately, positioning himself between Caleb and the road, teeth bared toward the darkness. Caleb half-carried, half-dragged Mara to the clinic entrance and slammed his shoulder against the locked door. Once. Twice. On the third hit, it opened. Nurse Evelyn Pike stood there, gray hair pulled back, eyes widening as she took in the scene. "Caleb." "What?" "I need a gurney," he said. "Now." She didn't ask questions. She never did. They had Mara inside within seconds, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. As Evelyn worked, peeling back blankets, checking vitals, Caleb paced the narrow hall, boots leaving wet prints on linoleum. Rook sat at the end of the corridor, eyes fixed on the door. "You said he used to be kind," Caleb said quietly when Evelyn disappeared to fetch supplies. "What changed?" Mara stared at the ceiling. "Power. And fear." She took a shaky breath. "My sister went missing 3 years ago. Lily. Everyone said she ran off. Sheriff Klein said it first." Caleb's stomach tightened. "You didn't believe him." "I started asking questions." Her lips trembled. "I found out about the quarry. About the land deals. About the women who vanished whenever someone stood in his way." Caleb thought of the trunk. Of how deliberately it had been hidden. Not buried deep enough to disappear forever. Just enough. "He wanted me quiet," Mara said. "Not dead. Not yet." He needed leverage. Headlights flashed through the clinic windows. Rook rose. Caleb drew his weapon. The door opened without knocking. Sheriff Klein stepped inside, snow melting onto clean tile, face composed. Behind him stood Deputy Aaron Cole, young, pale, eyes darting anywhere but at Caleb. "Easy," Klein said. "We're all on the same side here." "You followed me," Caleb said. Klein shrugged. "I was worried." "That's generous." Evelyn reappeared, froze at the sight of Klein's badge. "Sheriff." "Thank you, nurse," Klein said gently. "I'll take it from here." "No," Caleb said. Klein's gaze hardened. "You're tired. You're cold. And you're out of your depth." Mara found her voice again. "He killed my sister." The room went very still. Klein sighed, a sound almost regretful. "I didn't kill anyone. I just let things happen." Caleb felt something crack inside his chest. "You buried people alive." Klein's eyes flicked to Mara. "She was never meant to die. Just disappear." Rook lunged, snarling, but Caleb held him back. Deputy Cole shifted his weight, hands shaking. "Son," Klein said without looking at him, "you can step outside." Cole swallowed. I can't." Klein turned slowly. "You owe me." Cole's eyes filled. "I owe her." He drew his weapon and aimed it, not at Caleb, but at Klein. Time fractured. Klein moved first. The gunshot was deafening in the small space. Cole dropped, clutching his side, screaming. Evelyn screamed too, ducking behind a counter. Caleb fired. Klein staggered, surprise flickering across his face as the bullet caught him high in the chest. He fell hard, breath whooshing out of him, eyes wide not with fear, but disbelief. Rook barked once. Then silence rushed back in. Snow pressed against the windows, indifferent. Later, much later, Caleb sat on the clinic steps, head in his hands. Red and blue lights painted the storm. State troopers moved like ghosts through the white. Mara was alive. Stable. Telling everything she knew. The quarry would be searched come spring. Names would surface. Secrets with them. Rook rested his head on Caleb's knee. "You did good," Caleb whispered. Rook's tail thumped once. In the distance, the wind carried a hollow sound, wood knocking against wood somewhere in the storm. Caleb flinched. He knew that sound would never quite leave him.